Donald Trump is at the lowest point of his entire presidency, and even worse than that, he knows it. He knows that MAGA is turning on him. He knows that there is a civil war within his own administration, and he knows that things can only get worse from here. It is the reason we saw him have a screaming meltdown on the tarmac before getting on Air Force One, where he was confronted over the civil war in his administration over the Epstein scandal. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now, before we can get into Trump getting confronted, I want to start where he did, with a long, crazy, screaming rant about his tariffs.
One of all. So that was great. We had some tremendous financial numbers released on Friday, as you probably heard, that our country made $25 billion last month. $25 billion. It hasn't done that in a long time, and a lot of that's done because of good management, and number one, and maybe even more importantly, the tariffs that are pouring in. We have tariffs pouring in at levels that we have never seen before, and they've only just started. That's really a small portion. It's mostly from cars and aluminum and steel, a little bit of lumber. But they'll really start in about another week. And then in about a month, they'll come in at levels that are extremely strong.
Now, the volume of Trump's voice and the idiotic things that he said with it only picked up from there, but let's start with the tariffs. Donald Trump claiming that he brought in $25 billion is a figure I'm not, one, sure is even accurate, but two, I do know for certain it is below what Donald Trump is projecting. And remember, part of the giant tax giveaway that Donald Trump is giving to the top 0.01% is contingent, at least in the mind of the GOP, so it doesn't explode the deficit, which it will, on those tariffs being in place. Donald Trump saying that that'll be revenue, which is, of course, just a tax on working class people. So that's how Donald Trump's paying for his tax cut for billionaires. But it is also restricting economic acceleration of our economy. It's just preventing us from having success. So Donald Trump is dragging everything down and now blaming it on Jerome Powell, which is part of his screaming meltdown right here.
If Jerome Powell stepped down, it would be a great thing. I don't know that he's going to, but he should. Jerome Powell's been very bad for our country. We should have the lowest interest rate on earth, and we don't. He just refuses to do it, and yet he's spending $2.5 billion rebuilding the Fed, the Federal Reserve building. And I don't know what he knows about building, but you talk about cost overrun. So he got this approved, and he started the work during the Biden administration. And he doesn't look like the kind of a guy, frankly, that wants to spend $2.5 billion. And it's very interesting because out of 71 economists, one person, me, and then one other person, I think from Wharton, got it right, and the others were all wrong in terms of the success of our country this quickly. We have no inflation. We have cash pouring in. It was me and somebody else. And I can tell you, I don't need 5,000 people working for me behind the scenes like Jerome Powell to tell him what he should say once a month, because they got it wrong. The Fed got it wrong. I call him too late. He's always too late. Every point cost us $360 billion. Think of that. And we should be 3 points. That's almost $1 trillion. Approximately $1 trillion less we should be just with the signing of a piece of paper. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you're telling me he's going to quit. I hope he quits. I don't know that he's going to quit, but he should quit because he's been very bad for the country.
And Russia, is he going to be announcing sanctions on Russia tomorrow?
He keeps saying that it's him and one other economist. I'm pretty good at doing the Trump translation. I have no idea what he's talking about there. At this point, again, he is just rambling and trying to create an enemy for MAGA to unify behind. Donald Trump needs someone to point the finger at and blame, because the finger is getting pointed at him right now. If you were on Twitter today, you even saw that Elmo's account got hacked and he was calling for Donald Trump to release the Epstein files. Maybe you shouldn't have defunded PBS, Donald. Now Elmo is calling for the list to be revealed. Everything is going badly for Trump, and that is why when he was confronted over Dan Bongino, who has now become the person at the center of the civil war within MAGA, he tried to brush it off, kind of imploded.
Oh, I think so. I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
I was going to ask you, on this one-year anniversary of Butler, what was going to be?
It's fine. It's all good. It's all going to be okay. You talk to him. You like his show. If that's anything, that's Donald Trump preparing the grounds to promote Dan Bongino, just like he did with Mike Waltz, and give him the old boot out of the administration, because he's got to blame someone. And again, the reason he's not blaming Pam Bondi, who MAGA is most upset with, is because he knows she's taking the brunt of the blow, and that she will always do whatever Donald Trump wants, which is funny because MAGA seems to have come to that consensus as well, that Dan Bongino is not the one who is acting in Donald Trump's best interest all the time. Pam Bondi clearly is. And so if you're upset with her, shouldn't you just be upset with Donald Trump? I don't know how any of this is a surprise to any of them except for their cult-like mindset and their cognitive dissonance, which was called out by Senator John Ossoff in this clip. And then he went on in a great speech from yesterday to take down Trump in another way.
Thing we have, and we voted no. We put Georgia first, Savannah. But every single Republican member of Congress who is supposed to represent Georgia, who is supposed to put loyalty to Georgia as their highest priority, instead they chose loyalty to Donald Trump. Think about this. They're destroying the Medicaid program when 40% of all kids in Georgia are covered by Medicaid. 50% of all births, 50% of all births in Georgia are covered by Medicaid. 70% of all seniors in nursing homes in Georgia are covered by Medicaid. There are now 37 Georgia nursing homes at risk of closure because of this law, and 7 of them are less than 2 hours from where we are right now. Do you all remember what Donald Trump said about Medicaid? He said, "We're not going to touch it. We're not going to touch it." Direct quote. It's like Senator Tillis said, a broken promise, and one of many. President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files? So many broken promises. More people are unemployed. The wars are still raging. The debt is exploding. Oil drilling is slowing down. Prices are going up. Now, the other day I was watching part of an interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which you never know what you're going to get. We expanded Social Security for teachers, police officers, and first responders. We saved more than 1 million pensions from insolvency. We delivered the biggest investment in HBCUs of all time, Savannah. We confirmed Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court of the United States. We upgraded infrastructure in every part of our state. We unleashed a manufacturing renaissance, creating jobs here in coastal Georgia and statewide. And none of that would have happened without Georgia. None of that would have happened without you, Savannah. You did that. But now that they're in power, in the same bill that defunded hospitals to cut taxes for the rich, they made the budget for mass deportations larger than the FBI, ATF, DEA, and the Bureau of Prisons combined. It'll be the largest domestic police force in American history. The ones with masks. Now, they say it's about crime and drugs and gangs and human trafficking and cartels, and those are serious threats that need to be confronted. The cartels should be crushed, the border should be secure, the human traffickers should be brought to justice, and their victims liberated. And if someone's in this country illegally and commits a crime, they have to leave. But they're snatching people with no records, even folks with work permits. They're tearing families apart. A lot of them have kids or spouses who are American citizens. Some of them are American citizens. They sent 11-year-old and 4-year-old little girls, both American citizens, both in the middle of cancer treatment, to Mexico and Honduras because their parents were undocumented. They sent a mother who was still breastfeeding her 1-year-old U.S. citizen baby to Cuba without her child. And the little baby wound up in the hospital after being ripped from her mother's breast. There was a man in California, a father of 3 sons, all 3 sons United States Marines. The guy had no criminal record. And they didn't just take him, they punched him in the head over and over and over again as he lay in the ground in broad daylight on camera. Did you see that? Yes. If that's what they're doing in public, what do you think is happening in these detention centers?
This is the way that we have to be packaging and delivering the message. A lot of people are going to say, who don't know what they're talking about, that we shouldn't talk about this at all, that it doesn't matter. But I think it is a very clear example of Donald Trump's betrayal of his promises. And that's what this entire presidency is about. It is about Donald Trump betraying his promises to serve his billionaire buddies. Donald Trump is breaking his promise of releasing the Epstein list to protect his billionaire buddy and Jeffrey Epstein, really to protect himself and to protect anyone else who might have been associated with him, likely more of Donald Trump's rich friends. That's what he said. A lot of people might get hurt by this phony stuff. So who is Donald Trump defending? It's not just him, it's other people within MAGA as well, isn't it? Other loyalists of his. That's what's happening right now. It is another betrayal on behalf of a billionaire. This time the billionaire is Donald Trump, which it usually is, but that's a message that works, and it resonates, and we're going to bring it everywhere. And if you want to help us do that on this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.